Welcome to today's edition of the Statler Financial Radio Show. Your financial security is our business. Have a question for the team? Call today, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show. I'm Stephanie Griffin, and I'm joined today by Philip Statler, president and founder of Statler Financial. When it comes to planning your retirement, there's only really one question that matters. Are you truly ready to retire? It may seem like a simple yes or no question, but if you dig a little deeper, you may find some very important decisions to make. Today, Philip will help us through this. Before we get into the financial side of things, why is knowing when to retire about more than just your finances?
Well, Stephanie, that's a great question, because while having a solid financial plan is really and truly a foundation, that is foundational that we need to have. Retirement is also a huge emotional and social shift. It's a big change, not just financially, but that emotional and social shift is huge. I see it all the time with folks. And so for many people, you got to understand their job is who they are. I mean, that's a core part of their identity. And really those people at work are a lot of times their social circle. That's their friends. And that's, they may not have many friends outside of that social circle there. So stepping away from that requires a couple things. It requires that we prepare mentally and emotionally for that separation, because it is a separation. I've seen it where it'll bring on depression if people haven't planned properly for this separation between working and retirement. And that's why I look at a holistic approach. And it's so important to make sure that planning is not just about the money, it's about the time. What are we going to do with our time during that period as well, Stephanie?
It would be a big change. It really would. Let me give that number before I forget to do that. 863-877-1188. You can text VISIT to 863-877-1188 to get your complimentary visit with Philip. Maybe a good time beginning of the year to ask questions about how you're doing in retirement. Philip, what is the first financial sign someone should look for to feel confident about retiring?
Well, I think one of the most important things, or one of the important signs, is to have a detailed financial plan. We know statistically that less than 30% of the folks out there actually put together some kind of financial / retirement plan, other than I'm going to draw from this account or that account. That's not a plan. So this isn't just about how much you've saved. It's really about knowing how you're going to generate income for now, potentially 20 or maybe even 30 or 40 years that you may be in retirement. I mean, I saw the other day, somebody celebrating their 104th birthday.
Wow.
Right. So we, even though, maybe only 3 or 4% of us will make it that far, we have to plan, because I don't know if you're in that 3 or 4%. So we have to plan for that. It means also that we have to budget for all your expected expenses. And that way we can get a clear picture of how much income you're going to need and what your income sources are, like your pension, your investments, and your Social Security. All of this goes into play and helps, really identify what gaps we may have, and ensures that your assets are structured to last as long as you do. And that's really a key part in the planning process.
So what is another key financial area retirees need to have in order before they stop working?
Well, I mean, having a minimal or no debt, Stephanie, that can be a huge indicator of readiness, right? I see way too many people carrying debt, especially high interest credit card debt, and they're going into retirement, and that is a major drain on your income. Every dollar that goes towards paying off debt is a dollar that you can't use for living expenses or enjoying your retirement. So, if you can retire debt free, that is great. Now, maybe you have a low interest mortgage. That's okay, because typically you're going to make more than that interest on the mortgage is going to be. So that will probably be manageable. So heading into retirement debt free, except for maybe a low interest mortgage, right, provides incredible financial flexibility.
Yeah, I can't imagine how stressful that would be when you have a huge debt and you're not working. And I just can't even imagine.
It is stressful. It really is.
What about Social Security? How does that factor into the decision?
Well, I think that having a detailed Social Security strategy is also a critical part of the puzzle and the planning process. Folks can start claiming their benefits as early as age 62. But I'm going to tell you, doing that permanently reduces your monthly payment. So look, if you can wait until your full retirement age, which for most folks listening out there, that's 67. Some of you, it may be 66 in some months, but we're all getting in that range right now. It's even better if you can wait until 70, because then your monthly benefit will even be significantly larger than at full retirement age. And that extra inflation protected income that you get from Social Security, it's a powerful tool for your long-term financial security. The other thing people don't really realize, and it's the way I really try to position it, is that for a married couple, the longer you wait, the benefit to the remaining spouse may be higher, and it gives them kind of a death benefit to help offset some of their other expenses. Listen, folks, if you're not sure whether you're truly ready to retire, one of the best things you can do is get a second opinion. If you're listening right now and you saved at least $250,000 for your retirement, give us a call here at Statler Financial, 863-877-1188. I'd like to talk to you. Make sure that you have everything put together, that you've got a plan in place that's going to get you into and through retirement. That number one more time, 863-877-1188.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about ways to see if you're truly ready to retire. Philip, let's talk a little bit about retirement expenses for a bit. What is a major expense that people often underestimate in retirement?
Well, there's two that I can think of off the top of my head, but probably the biggest one is going to be healthcare. So even with Medicare, right, which you're eligible for at age 65, healthcare isn't free, folks. There's still a premium that has to be paid and copays and other out-of-pocket expenses. So it's not free, and it continues to go up. If you retire before 65, you'll need a plan to bridge that gap, because from the time you retire to the time you hit 65, you've got to have medical insurance, and it can be very expensive at that point in time. So, I have clients that will continue to work to 65 just because of that. It's crucial that you figure that into the planning process. And then there's always the potential for long-term care needs, which folks sometimes don't realize, but Medicare generally doesn't cover those expenses.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about Medicare and Medicaid. And so give him a call for sure. Give Philip a call and ask him any questions you have about that. 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. And beyond the numbers, what's a sign that someone is emotionally prepared for retirement?
Well, here, Stephanie, what we're really talking about is identity. Do you have an identity outside of work? Being emotionally ready often means that you've started building an identity outside of that career, outside of work. Whether you're actively involved in a church or a civic club, those things give you some other identity other than just at work. If your job has been your main source of purpose and social connection for decades, folks, listen, retiring can leave this huge void in your life. So emotionally, we have to prepare for that. Often, you need to figure out your hobbies, your interests, and relationships outside of the workplace that they're excited and that you've got to be dedicated to spending more time to build those type of things.
Now, is there anything else people should consider before taking that giant retirement leap?
You should have a clear idea, Stephanie, of how you're going to spend your time. Folks, listen, after working 40 years, having a completely open schedule, that can be shocking, right? It can be overwhelming to some people. it's important to have a plan, whether it's traveling, volunteering, learning a new skill, or spending more time with family and friends. You need to have a purpose in retirement. That I know is a critical thing. Folks need to make sure they have their hands wrapped around that.
So, what's the most important thing you think, Philip, for our listeners to consider doing right now to get ready?
Well, I think now, Stephanie, it's easy to sit back and do nothing, but it's time to take action. Do something. Start the process. Don't wait until you're a year away from your target retirement date to decide, oh, I need to put something together. I tell people, look, 5 years before and 5 years after you retire, that is a critical 10-year window of time that you need to get it right. Start planning for all the aspects of retirement now. Folks, listen, if you're listening to me right now and you've saved at least $250,000 or more for retirement, I want to personally invite you to schedule a time to meet with me. This is your chance to help gain clarity and confidence about your future. Here's what you can help. Here's how I can help you in those situations. We'll review your complete financial picture to see if you are truly on track for your retirement goals. We'll identify opportunities to help strengthen your plan, from your withdrawal strategy to your healthcare plan. And we'll help give you the confidence that you're ready for the financial and emotional transition to retirement. There's free, no obligation, but spots do fill up quickly. Our calendar does fill up quickly. Give us a call, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188 right now to schedule your appointment. Again, that number is 863-877-1188.
Please give him a call for a sit-down, a free consultation, 863-877-1188. And the Statler Financial Radio Show will be right back. Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Many people don't plan for long-term care until they have to. But long-term care isn't just nursing homes. It can include in-home care, assisted living, or ongoing support over time, and those costs often aren't covered by Medicare. That's why Statler Financial Services helps clients plan ahead, looking at how long-term care fits into a broader retirement strategy. Planning ahead is not about expecting the worst. It's about understanding your options. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services today at 863-877-1188. Philip and his team offer guidance to clarify your choices and cost before you need to act, no matter what life brings. Now is the time to learn more. Call Statler Financial at 863-877-1188, or you can text VISIT to 863-877-1188.
Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor.
Time to retire right. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Imagine a master carpenter showing up to a job site with the most expensive tools money can buy, those titanium hammers and high-end saws, but no blueprints. Without a plan, those tools are just useless. So many people approach retirement the same way. They have financial tools like 401ks and IRAs, but no actual strategy to build a confident future. Welcome back to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president of Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler. Philip, help us understand this analogy. What is the fundamental difference between having a portfolio of financial products and having a true retirement plan?
Well, I like that analogy. I mean, that is true. I look at it sometimes as a junk drawer as well. Think of it this way, that the investments and products like annuities, variable annuities, real estate investment trusts, those are products. Think of those things as tools. So, stocks maybe are hammers, annuities are saws. Well, a portfolio is just that, it's a toolbox. But having that toolbox there, I can open it up, I can look, but do you know which tool to use at what point in time? And that's where the blueprint comes into play. That blueprint tells the contractor how to use those tools and what to use those tools for. And let's face it, without a blueprint, folks, you're just guessing. If you don't have a plan, you're just guessing about how your retirement is going to work out. That's not a good place to start.
So is that true that tools we use during our working years, like the shovel for savings, aren't the same tools we need for retirement? Things look a little different in retirement, I guess, right?
I'm going to say absolutely. Stephanie, that's probably one of the biggest things and issues I see when I sit down with folks who are getting ready to transition from working to retirement, or they've just made the transition, or they made the transition 3 or 4 years ago. The problem is they have not changed the tools that they're using for their investments and for their retirement planning. And that is a problem. So some tools are great when you're in that accumulation phase. That accumulation phase is when you're working, and they work great for that. But retirement, when we hit retirement, that is no longer the accumulation phase. Now we're in the distribution phase. We're going to start taking money out of our investments, not put money in. So you're building the house to meet many needs in retirement. Need specific tools for liquidity, income, and growth. But more important is that you have a blueprint or a plan to make sure that you get it right. You don't want to build the house and then look at the plans and say, oh, I forgot to do this. That would not go well.
Forgot the bathroom, darn it.
That's right. That would not go well.
You can text Philip if you have questions about what your retirement looks like. Text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Now let's talk about that construction process. How can you help clients organize their assets so they aren't using a hammer when they really need a saw?
Well, another analogy that we like to look at is a bucket strategy, and that can help, right? So we'll look at different buckets for different things that we're going to have to pull money out for. So we'll have a liquidity bucket for accessible cash. We'll have an income bucket that's going to provide some reliable monthly paychecks. We're going to have a growth bucket to help fight inflation. The right tool for the right job is vitally important, Stephanie. It just is. And so often over my 20 plus year career at this, I see people using the wrong tools in retirement. And it seems like it would be simple, but it's really not. It's a different strategy, a different philosophy, a different methodology. And that's why I created the Core Retirement Design, to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of by looking at 3 key components heading into retirement. That's risk, taxes, and income. All 3 of those things play a vital role when we start to change gears from accumulation to distribution. Let me help you through that process. 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
And you can also go to statlerfinancial.com. We are talking about the tools you use while you are working. They're different than when you retire. So it seems clear that creating a comprehensive retirement income strategy requires specialized knowledge and tools, Philip, don't you think?
It does. You need, like I said, we need a whole different mindset. When we're working and accumulating assets, then we can use certain tools to do that. But when you switch and we're no longer working, we have no longer income coming in, and now we have to rely on our retirement portfolios to create that income, the mindset needs to change. And too often we don't see that, unfortunately. And so it's one of those things that the tools need to change, the strategies need to change, and we just don't see that as much as we would like to.
So, how do you help someone determine if their current retirement plan is optimized for the new challenges they have?
Well, I think we go through our process and that core retirement design where we measure those three key components to retirement. Is our risk number right? Do we have enough risk, but not too much risk? We don't want to have too much risk, which is what we see a lot of times heading into retirement, is people have more risk in their portfolio than they really should. I met with somebody a couple weeks ago, and they've been, kind of taking care of some of it themselves. They use a couple different advisors, but everything they had was pretty much at risk, except for a few CDs they had. And so we want to make sure that we are taking care and making sure that we have the right amount of risk and not too much risk. We want to make sure our taxes are taken care of. And then we want to make sure we've got income, because income's what pays the bills.
So, a lot of complexities out there. The new tax bill, inflation, market volatility. It can be pretty difficult to know if your advisor is doing a good job. Is there an easy way to figure this out, Philip, by maybe getting a second opinion? Would that be the best option?
I think it is. It's definitely a good option. To make sure that you've got everything lined up the way it needs to be, to make sure that everything's going to be taken care of. Like I said, we've been dealing with a lot of folks that have lost loved ones lately. And so we want to make sure that everything's going to transition as easily as possible. Should that occur, or when that occurs, we all going to pass away eventually. So I think that's an area that we try to look at for sure. And I think that's one of the things that people just need to have on the radar.
So, Philip, how might someone's retirement plan mirror what you have when you're building a house?
Well, I think that's an interesting question, Stephanie, because when I think about it, right, one of the things that's very, very important when we build a house is the foundation. We need to have a firm foundation. And that foundation in the financial world is going to be income. We need to have income, because if we've got a firm income base, then we can weather some storms. That means we can weather the market going up and down if our income is sufficient and going to take care of all our needs. So the foundation is kind of the income. And let's jump to the walls, right? We got to have walls, and our walls are going to really be something in between, right? We need something that is not really risky, because we need those walls to stand up. And so we look at that as, things that may produce income, a dividend portfolio, an income that may produce some income to those type of things. And then the ceiling, the roof over our head is, maybe we got a stock portfolio for growth, that we can grow a little bit so that we don't have to worry about what inflation's going to do to us. We want that there to take care of providing down the road. And so I think that kind of puts together the assembly of what that house looks like. So we look at that, and I think is important. So many people that I sit down with, and I'll put a number to it, right? So, in my long career, there have been maybe a handful, maybe five, literally maybe five people that have come into me and said, yes, Philip, I have an income plan. I have a retirement plan in place.
Wow.
And they'll show it to me. Here it is.
That's it, huh?
5 in 20 plus years. So I know statistically out there, very, very few of you have a plan. And really, you need to have that plan so you know what you're building, and to make sure it's going to last as long as you need it to. And that's why I developed this core retirement design. It helps people really design that retirement they always dreamed of. give us a call at 863-877-1188. And as Stephanie said, you can go to our website at statlerfinancial.com. There's actually a link there to my calendar. Schedule a 30-minute phone call where we'll look to see how you're doing. And maybe you're on the right track. Maybe you're doing well. You got everything taken care of. If you are, that's great. I'm going to tell you, I'll be proud to say, hey, look, you've got it together. You don't need my help. You can just keep doing what you're doing. But if I see holes or I see things that are missing, I'm going to let you know. Here's some things I think you need to look at. Here's some things I think you need to change. And if I can help you, I'm going to let you know. If I can't, I'll show you the way. Here's some places you can go check out to get the help you need. It's that simple, folks. It really is that simple. And I hate to see it when folks don't have it all together. My goal is I want everybody within our radio listening area to have a plan in place. I don't want anybody to fail in retirement. Give me a call, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
And the Statler Financial Radio Show will be right back.
Needing a second opinion on your retirement plan or to see if you're paying more than your fair share to Uncle Sam? Schedule your complimentary visit today. Text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's VISIT to 863-877-1188.
The market goes up, it goes down, but retirement keeps going. And when you're close to retirement, those swings can feel very different. At Statler Financial Services, our planning focuses on helping plans stay aligned through market movement, so short-term volatility doesn't disrupt your long-term plans. It's about balance, income planning, and staying disciplined through changing markets. Call or text VISIT to 863-877-1188 now for your free risk analysis from Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services. If you're nearing retirement or already there, now's the time to review your strategy. Take the first step. Get your questions answered before the next market volatility takes a chunk out of your portfolio. Call or text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's VISIT to 863-877-1188. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor.
Welcome back to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president of Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler. I'm Stephanie Griffin, and we have been discussing how to turn a mix of financial tools into a fortress of security. But even the best built house faces threats from the elements, specifically inflation and taxes. Of course, the big topic there. Philip, you call inflation the silent demolition crew. How does a static retirement plan fail when faced with the rising cost of living?
Well, Stephanie, being too conservative can cause a loss of purchasing power every year. And inflation the last few years has been huge. And so I think that people who have not been in the market, who've just been in interest-bearing instruments, which has been better than it's ever been, well, not ever, but better than it's been in a long, long time, right? They have not kept up with purchasing power. And let's face it, the things we see at the grocery store, they're not getting any cheaper. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Yes.
So being, as one of the things I say, look, being too conservative is not good, but also being too risky is not good either. We need a good balance there to protect our purchasing power. But again, that comes to being too conservative, because inflation really chips away at that foundation. In other words, your income buys less and less every week for sometimes it feels like anyway. And you need a portion of your portfolio in equities. I'll tell you, I have 90-year-olds and we may not have much, but we have a little bit in an equity portfolio for growth because they can still live another 10 years, right? So we need to make sure they help keep pace with inflation. And that's really the big deal. We don't want to just match it. We want to beat inflation. And so really the key, as I always say, is finding that right balance for you. How much risk, how much safety do I need? And that's really, Stephanie, I guess that's why I built my system, my core retirement design and the process, because it helps really kind of figure out what that right balance needs to be. And it's funny because if I'm talking to somebody that's really aggressive out here, and I talk about the right balance, they're like, "Oh no, I don't want to give up, all those growth stocks. I don't want to give up that much stuff." But yet we need to come back to center. And if I'm sitting there talking to somebody that is very, very conservative or really risk adverse, it's like, "Nah, I don't want to put any money in the market. I don't want to put them in the market." But yet we need to put something there to help fight inflation. And so it's finding that right balance to move people forward and still stay within their comfort level.
Right. Everybody's balance is different too. So call Philip at 863-877-1188 or go to statlerfinancial.com and set up your appointment with Philip Statler. Social Security is one of the few assets that actually adjusts for inflation. So how can you help clients optimize this benefit with their broader blueprint?
Well, yeah, they do. They get cost of living adjustments. Sometimes they don't look like they're enough. Sometimes you think, wow, maybe I'm catching up for a year or two. So yes, they do get that COLA adjustment. And let's face it, Social Security provides guaranteed lifetime income. It's going to pay until you die. And if you do it right and you look at it with that in mind, that if something happens to me, my spouse is going to get this for the rest of their life, right? And as a man, I feel like I will probably pass away first. And so it's really important that when I get there, which is still a few years away, I want to make the right decision so that when something happens to me, Joyce will have the highest amount possible to pay for living expenses. And so, that's where I think it's important that we optimize those benefits as best we can, balancing out what we need today for what we might need down the road.
So, Philip, many people assume their Social Security is tax-free. I'm sure you have a lot of clients coming in thinking that, but it's not the case, right? So how did the 2025 tax law affect those benefits?
Well, that's funny, Stephanie, it really is, because I have people that think once they retire, they shouldn't have to file a tax return anymore.
I agree. That would be great, wouldn't it?
But they do, unless, now I have a few, right, that are just getting Social Security for the most part. Up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxable, anywhere from 0 to 85%. It's a complicated formula to determine what that number is. But believe me, it's there, and people end up paying more than they think they do. Now, with the big beautiful bill that was passed in 2025, seniors got this little extra added bonus deduction of up to $6,000 a piece. However, two things: one, it expires in 2028, so it's a short-term deal. Second, it's income based. So if you're fortunate and you've got some decent income in retirement, you may not get all $6,000 each. It may dwindle away. It may dwindle all the way to nothing. So just so you know, it's not guaranteed to be the 6,000. It's based on your income. We got taxable thresholds there. So we got that. We need to manage other income sources to keep Uncle Sam away from your benefits. So if we have a lot of interest income that we're paying taxes on, we need to figure out a way not to pay taxes on that money right now. And make sure that we're using the right order when it comes to drawing down our assets. It's all part of our planning process, Stephanie.
And if you want to talk to Philip about that, please give him a call. You can also text the word visit to 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Now, the one big beautiful bill, it's pretty complex. It can be difficult to know if a plan is optimized. How can you help your clients, Philip, evaluate their current tax strategy?
Well, I think the first thing is review their current tax situation, right? Where are they at? What are they, what tax bracket are they on? Given these extra little benefits we have for a limited time, how does that play into their situation? Analyze their Social Security, find out what their provisional income is, and are they going to have to pay the IRMA tax? People say, what's the IRMA tax? IRMA tax is when you make so much money that now Medicare increases your Medicare Part B premium. People say, well, I didn't know they could do that. Well, here's the deal, and most people don't know this, is that your Medicare Part B premium is income-based. The more you make, the higher the premium is. And it can go from, I think the around $200 people are paying now, it can go all the way up to almost $600 a month that people have to pay for their Medicare Part B premium. So it's an area we need to be watching and consistently monitoring to make sure that we know where we are when it comes to those IRMA levels. We want to optimize, for some potential tax advantages from a charitable giving standpoint. If you're 70 and a half, how are we maximizing our giving by using our IRA to do it? Are you being as tax efficient as possible? A lot of our clients are using what we call qualified charitable distributions out of their IRAs for their charitable giving. It is huge tax benefits when it comes to that. And I would tell you, if you are not doing that and you are over the age of 70 and a half, you really need to investigate that, especially if you are very charitably minded. The other thing I would say is consider structuring your retirement income so that you maximize the tax drag. How do you do that? Well, it's putting together that plan, knowing where you're going to take money from, what that drawdown order is going to be. And then lastly, and we did some of this last year for clients, is do some tax loss harvesting. Coming into the end of the year, where can I, take some losses to reduce my gains or put me in a better tax situation? All these are things that we walk our clients through and help them through those processes to make sure that we're paying the least amount of taxes we possibly can. And it's all part of our core retirement design. Folks, listen, if you saved at least $500,000 for retirement, it is important that you have a plan in place, that blueprint we've been talking about. You need to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you might flounder through retirement, and we don't want that to happen. Secondly, we want to make sure we've got strategies in place for taxes and take advantage of everything we can when it comes to the tax situation you're in. And then income, we want to have income. We need to make sure we've got income put in place that we can't outlive. If something happens to one spouse, the other spouse is taken care of. Those are important things we need to make sure that we're looking at and overcoming. Give us a call at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Don't waste time. Don't put it off to tomorrow. Folks, you need to have a plan in place. It's that simple. Give me a call. Let's get started today. 863-877-1188.
The Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be right back.
The market goes up, it goes down, but retirement keeps going. And when you're close to retirement, those swings can feel very different. At Statler Financial Services, our planning focuses on helping plans stay aligned through market movement, so short-term volatility doesn't disrupt your long-term plans. It's about balance, income planning, and staying disciplined through changing markets. Call or text VISIT to 863-877-1188 now for your free risk analysis from Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services. If you're nearing retirement or already there, now's the time to review your strategy. Take the first step. Get your questions answered before the next market volatility takes a chunk out of your portfolio. Call or text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's VISIT to 863-877-1188. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor.
Welcome back to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president Philip Statler. He owns Statler Financial Services. Philip gets questions each and every week about all things retirement. We are going to open up our Statler Financial mailbag right now and go over some common retirement questions. Let's go. Are you ready, Philip?
I think so.
Okay.
If you just don't hit me on the side of the head or don't throw me something that I'm not ready for. Make sure they're good, good dog bones you're gonna throw me now.
I promise I'll be good. Here's our first question. Alex from Sebring. I bought a life insurance policy 20 years ago to help protect my family. Now the kids are grown and we're about to retire. Should I keep paying these premiums or just cancel the policy? I'm sure there's a lot of life insurance questions that you get from people.
We do get a few, not as many as you might think, though.
Right.
Most of the retirees, especially my older retirees, they've ditched their life insurance policies because they figure, they've got enough saved up. They don't need them anymore. Alex, here's what I would say. If, there's a couple things you could do. You could hand them off to your kids if there is any real value there as far as a death benefit. You could cash them in. That may be something to do too. You almost have to look at it and see, obviously the likelihood of you needing the death benefit is very small. And you don't want the death benefit to happen anyway. Right. So I would look at two options. One, what happens if I give it to the kids? Is it worth giving to the kids? Is it a big enough death benefit, a small enough premium that they can handle themselves and it would help their family? That would be one option. And the second option would be, hey, there's a cash value. I don't need it anymore. I don't need that death benefit anymore. So I could cash it in, take the cash. There may be some tax consequences, but if there are, they'd be very small, most likely. We'd have to look at the policy for sure to look to see how much you've paid in versus how much you're going to get. That would determine how much the tax would be, if any of it's taxable. I will tell you, I didn't do this exact same thing, but I did something similar to this recently. I had some interesting. I mean, I didn't even sell them to myself. I bought them from a friend of mine, but they were term life policies, but they increased annually and they actually built up some cash value. Unusual, very unusual for a term policy to build up any kind of cash value, but these built up cash value. Heading into where we are age wise and kids are gone and don't need anything for them. We decided it made sense just to cash them in. And so, we did, we didn't need that death benefit anymore. So we took the cash and added to our savings account and just kept on rolling. So you really have to lay it all out and make sure that you're doing what's best for your family, Alex.
Nice answer. Very good. Very informative. Donna from Avon Park. We finally plan to retire this December. What happens if the stock market crashes right after we stop working? I worry about losing a big chunk of our savings right after the starting line. Yeah, that would not be fun. A lot of concerns for people just getting ready to retire.
That would definitely up your anxiety.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. But that's why it's important that now, I mean, look, you're talking about December. That's not very far away. And the markets are still, have been somewhat high. it makes sense to have a plan in place and to start with that plan, because that plan is going to take all the different options that are available and work through them to determine what makes the most sense for you. And part of it's going to be, how much do I need to pull out every month, right? That's going to be a big deal. And remember, if you listen to my show much at all, we talk about the first level of diversification is going to be what? How much goes in the safety buckets? How much goes in the growth buckets? That's going to be the first question that you need to ask yourself. And so we need to be prepared for a market decline, given as long as this thing's been going up. But who knows? It could go up another 5 years. We don't know. That's the problem. And so we have to have a plan in place that's going to work no matter what happens. And that's where, to me, having the written retirement income plan in place will help you get through that and make sure that you can overcome that situation if it does happen.
You are listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show. You can give Philip Statler, president and founder of Statler Financial Services, a call at 863-877-1188. You can also text the word VISIT to that same number. Get your free complimentary consultation. Let me give it to you again, 863-877-1188. And Philip Statler is with us right now answering questions from listeners. And Bill from Lake Placid, I already have a financial advisor, but we mostly just review my investments once a year. If I come see you, how do I figure out if I actually need a new plan or if my current setup is fine? That is a good question. Very good question from Bill.
That is an absolutely good question. And my opinion, what you do is, hey, if you have a plan in place, bring it in. Let's look at your plan and see if it's going to do what you need it to do. That's what's going to make it work. And if not, if you don't have a written retirement income plan, that's your first step to knowing that something's not right, that you're not on the right path, because you don't have anything written that you can look at, that you can bring somebody else to double check to make sure that it's set up properly. So that's the first thing. So if you have that, bring it in. We'll look at it. We'll go over it together. We'll see if it matches up with what you want to have happen. If it doesn't, or you don't have a written retirement income plan that you can put your hands on and bring in, then number one, that tells you something. Number two, it means you need to actually build a plan. And we need to start from the ground up and build that plan to make sure that it's going to do what you want it to do. I mean, I think that probably answers your question. I'd love to sit down with you and help you out with that.
All right, I'll give him a call if you have any questions for Philip, brother. 863-877-1188. And we are doing the mailbag question. Stacy from Avon Park wants to know, most of our retirement money is sitting in a traditional IRA. We keep hearing we should convert to a Roth to avoid future taxes, but the tax bill today would be massive. How do we know if paying those taxes now is actually worth it for us in the long run? And I think it is worth it, right? That's just my opinion.
It depends. It's one of those it depends questions and answers. Everybody's different. Everybody's tax situation is different. And everybody's future is different. And so this is a case where planning really does help. And it may not be that it's for you, or maybe it's a portion of yours. So here's the one thing that people, I think, sometimes get confused about, is they think that it's a one and done deal. I got to convert all my IRA today to a Roth. And that is absolutely false. Okay. I have clients that we do $10,000, $15,000 a year. We'll convert it from their traditional IRA to their Roth. And it's taken us 5 years, and we finally have gotten, I think we got 1 or 2 more years left for most of them to get them all converted to their Roth IRAs. Now, The problem with that is we're going to get him all converted, and when he retires, he still has a big 401k that's going to roll out. So, but we've got a big chunk of it that's now going to be in the Roth IRA, and so that gives us options. And I love options, right? If I have options where I can take money from a non-retirement account or a traditional IRA account or a Roth account, now look, depending upon what's happening that year, I've got 3 different places I can pick to choose money and to live off of whatever those 3 things or a combination of those 3 things. So part of our process is a Roth plan, and whether that works for you or not, right? Here it is. We lay it out. Here are a couple different options you can do for Roths going forward. Just part of our process. We call our process a core retirement design. And that's really because we want to help you design the retirement you always dreamed of. We look at 3 key aspects within that. And that is risk. How much risk do you have in your portfolio? What should it be? And make sure it lines up. Taxes, because too many people are paying too much in taxes in retirement. And we set up and do some Roth conversion strategies to see if it makes sense. It does not make sense for everybody, but everybody should look at it to see if it makes sense for you. And then third is having an income plan. We need to have an income plan in place so that we know where our money's coming from and that we know that it's going to last our lifetime. Those are the 3 components that make up our core retirement design. Give us a call. We'd love to sit down with you, show you what that looks like for you, and put it in place. Our number to get started is 863-877-1188. It's 863-877-1188.
So I have noticed something, Philip. I've noticed we had more questions recently from women, and I love that they are aware of what's going on with their finances. Are you finding that women are more informed about their finances, more so maybe than 5 to 10 years ago, or even when you first started?
Yeah, it's still more heavily male dominated, but we are getting more and more women who are you know what? They're the financial bookkeepers of the family a lot of times.
Right.
And they may not be the investment person.
I see.
But when that happens, usually neither one of them really are the investment person, right? Is just out there and they're just watching it, not exactly knowing what to do.
Right. Kind of winging it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's pretty important for women to be more informed or get themselves more informed with finances, don't you think?
Absolutely is, because, statistically, your husband's going to pass away before you, which means it all drops in your lap if you're not the one that's used to dealing with it.
Right.
It can be overwhelming.
Very much so. And if you have questions for Philip, maybe you've lost a spouse, or you just want to find out more about your portfolio, maybe you're not married and you want to talk to Philip, you can give him a call. That number is 863-877-1188. The guys can call too, of course, 863-877-1188, or text VISIT to get a complimentary consultation. And please join us again next week. A lot of great information on today's show, Philip. Thank you for that. Join us again next week for the Statler Financial Radio Show. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. This radio show is a paid placement.